Let me start by saying, I think we all realize the problem out here. We have a problem. The problem is not going away. This is a problem that you have at your school. This is a problem that I have where my kids go to school. I have 3 children myself. Mike, Brian, and Tom have kids. You have kids of your own. My kids attend 3 of the 4 schools in this town. And that problem's around my kids' schools. It's around your schools. That problem we're going to call Dennis, if you will. And Dennis has methodically and systematically thought something out. And he's thought it out for many weeks, if not many months, statistics show. Dennis is considered to be our country's #1 domestic act of terrorism. Dennis is an active shooter, and he's crumbling our nation every single week, every single month. Okay? Let me introduce to you our service we're going to roll through. It's called SchoolGuard. We've developed this innovative service. SchoolGuard is an emergency alert system. This is smartphone-based technology. It allows every janitor, every cook, every school teacher, administrator in your respective school to have a panic button in the palm of their hand. We're going to cover through some of the features, but as we move along this, we go through the presentation, we're going to see what's leading up to why we need to do this. The goal of this whole thing is we need to get the good guys there and the good gals there as soon as possible to try to neutralize this thing. And we're going to talk about it. This is what our app looks like. Let's go through it if you would. This tells you right now, this is a problem that's been around. Actually, the first documented one was back in the 1700s. The first school shooting, the 1700s. Since then, we've been taking statistics. We put this back to 1960. Every decade, from 1960 to the present, every year there's been an average of 1.6 shootings in 1960. And it increases, as you can see. Last year, 18. This year, 2014, already 1. Happened today. This is our map. Ever since 1992, there's been 400 documented school shootings. But how many Dennises are out there at your school, at my school, that didn't follow through with his plans? There's probably quite a few. Now, does it make the people in South Dakota feel safe? That, hey, our walls can go, but it's not going to happen here? I don't think so. We can't become complacent with these issues. The #1 domestic act of terrorism is Dennis, the active shooter, and he can strike here, 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 or in Roswell, New Mexico, where they've hardly had any. And that happened today. My friends, here's the problem that we're having out here. This is a problem that's not going away. Average school shooting is very short-lived. 12.5 minutes. If you take the totality of all of them, some of them are much shorter lived than this. The average school shooting is 12.5 minutes. U.S. Department of Homeland Security says the average police response time is that of 18 minutes. Probably not going to happen in Illinois right here in Columbia. It may not happen in Springfield or downtown St. Louis. But friends, let me explain something to you. In the rural areas of this country, you might have one sheriff working within a 45-minute area. And let's hope he's not tied up. I'm not sure the chief of Columbia is here. I'm not sure. I live in this town of Columbia right now. We have 14 officers in a population of 10,000 people that live here. Of those 14 officers, of course, we're off a lot. You know, just like everyone. 2 or 3 of those officers are on duty at any one given time. One of those officers could be at the bridge handling something. Maybe another officer is tied up booking someone in jail. Okay? Maybe we're on someone else on a traffic stop. That attributes to the 18 minutes. We need to get people there as quickly as possible. Reduce the response time. That's why we've created this system. When you call 911, can anyone tell me, that's not a police officer, just real quick, what do you think happens when you call 911? Anybody? A lot of people say, you know what, we call 911, it's linked pretty much right to the squad car. It's going to go to the dispatcher, the cop's going to get it. Right away, he's going to go there, or she's going to go there. Okay? 911 is a fantastic system we've developed. Over the years, it has saved countless lives. But you got to understand, friends, the 911 system can get overwhelmed. Statistics show that upwards to 20% of 911 calls are dropped. Not even answered. Okay? Let me just fast forward through some of the channels so you can understand. It takes, by the time you call 911, by the time it hits a police officer. This, my friends, attributes to some of that 18 minutes. We've got to get there faster. Seconds truly save lives. 12.5 minutes, average response time nationally. We take the totality of these school shootings as 18 minutes. We've got to get there quicker. Second worst elementary school massacre ever last year. Everyone knows Sandy Hook. Let me show you the timeline. 9:35 a.m. Main office hears glass breaks. They spot a shooter. By gosh, they call 911. I'm going to play you one of the first 911 calls that came in from Sandy Hook. If this doesn't give you the chills, I don't know what will. And we're going to talk about the police response. They did fantastic. Better than probably anyone ever would. But this proves that, you know what? Seconds save lives. We got to get there as soon as we can. On duty, off duty, whoever can get there, we got to make a difference. My friends, listen to the first 911 call that came in.
911 State Police County. What school, man? In Newtown. Alright, stay in the line. Transfer you to Newtown. Stay in the line. Alright, stay in the line. We're going to tell you where. Okay, what? Are you in a room? Are you safe?
I'm outside the building. I can't get in. I'm afraid of this.
All right.
I'm going to that building, please. Hello?
9:36 and 6 seconds, 126 seconds before that person called 911 until that first officer knew about it. Talk about seconds save lives. And we're going to talk about how the SchoolGuard system instantaneously notifies police officers in a little bit. But finish up the timeline, 9:39. The first Newtown officers got on scene. How fast is that? That's almost the speed of light. These guys and gals did a fantastic job. They got on scene fast. 9:40, the last gunshot was heard. This was a suicide. Most school shooters end up this way. And statistics show if when the police arrive, it's the game over. And that's what they took out here. 9:44, Sandy Hook officers, Newtown officers rather, finally entered Sandy Hook. Newtown officers did a fantastic job in this response time. This is what we need to improve right here, my friends, is 126 seconds. If we can get police notified in 1, 2, 3 seconds, who knows what the outcome can be. What does this teach us? Extremely fast response time, of course. They were there fast. The shooter kills in this short amount of time. 20 students, 6 staff members in 303 seconds. You talk about seconds save lives. This is huge. That's one person every 11.65 seconds. SchoolGuard could have alerted the police 126 seconds earlier. That's what we want to do. We want to cut that reduction of the police response time. On duty, off duty, we're going to show you how it works. Let me introduce this to you. The solutions we have right now, and these are good solutions. We are being proactive, and we're doing a lot of good measures. We need to continue this. A lot of schools across the country, we're hiring security armed officers. Keep in mind, this is very, very costly. $40,000 to $60,000 a year across the country, the normal price if you're going to hire someone to protect your school. Arm our teachers with weapons. Okay? If we had decided to do this, and there's schools, we're going to Texas at the end of this month. There's schools that do this in Texas all the time. Texas loves our service. And we're going to roll it out January 26th to 28th in Austin, Texas. They love this service. There's liability concerns if we do this, so I think you'll understand that. We're going to spend a lot of money in mandates and continuing education for these teachers that we're going to trust to carry these weapons. My biggest problem here, if we go down this route, we are now bringing the problem to school that we don't want at school. Okay? Are we going to provide police with digital maps? That's a great philosophy. But my friends, if you can imagine yourself, if you're not a police officer anymore, the universal plan is we want to get there, fast and take care of business. We want to neutralize this threat. We do not have time to look at a map initially. The second, third officers that arrive, the secondary force, if they're going to set up that perimeter we can talk about, that's when they're going to set up their command post, and that's when they're going to have time to study those maps. But right away, we are getting there. We are going to rush towards the sound of gunfire. We're going to try to save as many people as we can. That's the goal of this thing. We've got to get there quick. Other items, what we're going to do, okay? And we continue to do this. This is fine. Just like the bank system, we're going to install panic buttons. These are kind of costly. Somewhere what I've shopped around, $300 to $800 a piece, okay? And if you think about it, panic button is nothing more, it's in lieu of a 911 call. Okay? You still got to dispatch the officers, the on-duty officers are going to get out there. They need to be strategically placed. Where are you going to put these? You can probably only afford maybe 3 or 4 in your school. Where are you going to put them? Then you got to worry about the false alarms. At least schools that are doing this are becoming proactive. Their walls have came down and they understand, you know what, it's probably never going to happen here, but you know what, the threat's real. We need to step up and we need to do something. So kudos to the schools that are doing something out there. That's fantastic. For everyone in here, your walls have came down. You understand the threat's real. Install the door locks and the bulletproof windows. Another great idea. Once again, extremely expensive to install. Okay? And the major thing here is this is a stall tactic. They're great and we need this. I will not disagree ever that we don't need this because this is fantastic. But it does not have an impact on police response time. Remember, it is a stall factor to get the police there. That's the final product, my friends. Okay? That's what we got to do. Install video cameras. Once again, very expensive to do. And they've got to be constantly monitored in order to report something if you do see an armed intruder or someone that does not belong at that school. Otherwise, it's just capturing everything that's occurring. Let's talk about this, the statistics out here. Is this working? The means we have right now, is it working? Are we preventing these things? I think the general consensus is no. Keep in mind, Sandy Hook. The second most deadliest massacre elementary schools. Sandy Hook was considered a hardened target. They had this stuff. They did a fantastic job. They had training about 2 weeks before this horrific incident occurred. They had the video cameras, people were buzzed in, bulletproof glass, they couldn't get in after 9:30 if you were not identified. This was a hardened target. Guess what? It got breached. It got breached. Columbine, deadliest high school shooting in our country. They hired 2 armed guards at the school. We've got to get their people quicker. We've changed the philosophy, the universal philosophy, without me speaking on everyone's policy and procedures and response protocol, because I simply don't know them. I can't speak on my behalf of the department, but I will say, it's pretty much universal. Ever since Columbine, we had the contain and wait strategy. We're going to set up the perimeters, the inner and outer perimeters. If somebody escapes from the inner perimeter, we've got them so they can't escape that secondary perimeter. We're going to wait for our special weapons and tactics team to show up. We're going to sit and wait for them. We're going to try to negotiate and mitigate the situation. We're going to try to talk the shooter down. My friends, since 1999, when it happened in Columbine, we learned as police officers that we cannot do this. And universal, we will not do it anymore. Since then, we've had active shooter trainings here in Illinois. Thank goodness we've mandated active shooter trainings where it's a joint effort between the school administration and the local police officers. We go through it once a year. And I couldn't think of a better training to do, as this is our #1 domestic active terrorism. The closest officers are going to respond, and they're going to go in and try to neutralize the threat. That's what we're doing. Unfortunately, as bad as it sounds, we are not treating the injured. We are going to rush towards that gunfire, and we are going to try to neutralize the threat, and then we're going to conduct triage. That's pretty much the universal policy of police across the country right now. Take them down as soon as possible, because seconds save lives. If that shooter has a target out there, a lot of times they will, and if you are in the way, you become what's called a target of opportunity, and his numbers on the totem pole go up. Okay? He has no regard for humanity. Chances are he's going out of there losing. And he doesn't care about you, and he doesn't care about me, and he sure the heck doesn't care about your kids. He went there with a goal, systematically and methodically, has planned it out for months, and he's going to end it right there. This is what we want to do. We call it the social protection network. It's the next generation solution. My friends, we have technology in our hands. It's time to embrace this technology and bring it together and make a difference out here. Stop these senseless acts of violence. Right now, there's 880,000 police officers, federal, state, and local police officers out there. There's an additional 500,000 officers that go through annual training that are certified as a retired police officer for President George W. Bush that you can carry a weapon. And this bill was signed due to the gun violence in our country. Okay? We want to enlist these people. The goal is to jump from 176, or about 20% of the officers out there, all the way to over 1 million officers. That is a 784% increase in the potential responders. You talk about 12 and a half minutes down to 18 minutes response time, watch that number decrease. We've got to get people there that are trained to do this as quick as possible. How are we going to do this? We've developed an app exclusive for police officers. We've asked a lot of fire departments ask, a lot of EMS personnel ask, can we get that app too? The answer is simply no. Okay? We want you to get there and treat it, but these people will not go in the scene until the scene is safe. And we are, as police officers, are trained to go in there, neutralize the scene, and then everyone else. Imagine if everyone showed up, and parents had this app, and everyone showed up, it's going to create gridlock. We want to get the cops there to take care of business. Okay? How are we going to do this? We've launched this in 2013 in November. It's only been available a little over 2 months. Currently, as of today, we have well over 3,000 law enforcement officers who have downloaded this free app. In this app, when they put it on their phone, we certify that they are a police officer. We activate their phone, and what it does, if they are ever in close proximity of an active school shooting, whether they're on duty or off duty or traveling, if I'm in Sarasota, Florida on vacation, and I happen to be within 5 or 10 miles or whatever we specified geofences that we built for that police officer area there, for that school, my phone will alert me that I am in the immediate location of an active shooter. Seconds are truly saving lives. Well, we're very proud of this. Apple, they're very scrutinized on what they allow in their store. With over 1 million apps in the Apple Store, the Hero 911 app is the only app that Apple has ever approved with a certification process because it's that good. They like it that well. This is the only app they've ever approved to be in their store. These are some of the agencies we have signed up. Over 9 as of today, and maybe more now. As of last night, 9 federal agencies have signed up for this app. We have 76 officers that are going to get the alert right now. Talk about seconds saving lives right there. Let me show you some of the features of the SchoolGuard system. Hopefully, we're never going to use this button. I don't want to use it. My gosh, we need it. Okay? Some of the features we have. There's a 911 button only on here. This is what the teachers' phones look like. Your janitors, your cooks, whoever, the gatekeeper, we call the principal, approves to have this on their phone. This is simply a 911 call. That's all it does. Okay? The other button is a teacher assist. This is inter-school. It does not deploy out to the police officers. This is just inter-school. It lets them know that, hey, teacher needs assistance. We're going to show you how it works in a second. Next one's going to get loud. You ever have an armed intruder? If this ever strikes us, this is activated. This is what it's going to sound like. The active shooter report active shooter button is activated. It's going to deploy all these. It's going to call 911. And as you're waiting, in the 126 seconds that we did for that initial 911 call, as you're waiting as a teacher to speak with the 911 operator, it's already done 2 things simultaneously. Those 2 things are, it's notified every other teacher, janitor, cook in your school. It's notified the other schools within about a 5-mile radius so they can take their proactive steps to lock down or evacuate, whatever your policies are. And it's also, while you're still waiting to talk to 911, it's sent a message out to all the officers, federal, state, or local, that have downloaded that free Hero 911 app to get them there quick. Because we want to save our kids out there. We want to save our staff out there. That's what it is. The teacher assist. Some other features we have that you can almost use on a weekly or monthly basis. Teacher assist.
Assistance requested. Assistance requested.
Teacher hits teacher assist. All the other phones inter-school are going to hear that noise. A map is going to pull up, and it's going to say, Mr. McVicker requests assistance. You're going to know where I'm located, and this is something, let's say we have a fight in the gym. Instead of sending someone for help, I hit teacher assist. It notifies all the teachers and staff out there, hey, Mr. McVicker needs help. Let's go help him out. And it gives me an option to type in, I have a fight in the gym. Secondary box can pop up. Hey, you know what? Student's injured. Please send a nurse. In split seconds, you can type this and send it, and people can come to your aid. There's also an option we have on the phone called Principal Push. And this is for your admin personnel, your superintendents, your principals, assistant principals. If they want to push Principal Push, this is something, let's say you have a power outage. This is nothing more than a mass text message, once again, sent to your respective teachers. And this is a mass message saying, power outage, you know what? There has been a tornado spotted. Please exercise emergency procedures. You're going to get it on your phone. Instead of going around from class to class, the PA doesn't work. How are we going to notify 2 or 3 floors of teachers depending on the size of your school? This is fantastic. Another example. Let's say there's a custody dispute. Let's say Johnny's only supposed to go home with one of the parents, and the other parent happens to be on school property. Without going to the PA, without trying to find Johnny, we can send a message out as an admin officer in the school saying, you know what? Send Johnny home only with parent A. Okay? Could be of value to you. The response plan. The schools, as we are doing more and more training, we're developing our response plans. This gives you a chance to upload your individual respective response plan, whether you take it off the FEMA site and tweak it yourself, whether you use the IEMA site, whether you make your own up. Okay? Intra-school, for your response plan, you can upload this to refer to later. It can help with the training mandates that we have. For some other additional features that we can talk about that we've made very pertinent in this situation, the cost alone. We've been speaking with schools across the country literally for the last 3 or 4 months, almost on a daily basis. Email about 3 today. And they love this idea. We're rolling it out today. During a live demo we're going to show you in just a few minutes. And I hope you pass the word. The cost, we want to keep this very, very reasonable. This is less than a half a penny a student a day. And the reason we're doing that is so we can employ it in a lot of schools around the country, because I think you understand by being here today that this is a problem since 1700s. It is not going away. It's going to continue. And it saddens me to say that. I have kids, you have kids. It's going to continue. Some of the features we have in there, we made this so it's invisible to the students. So you may not have to have the armed guards out there. You know, when I went to school, when you all went to school out here, school is a place you're supposed to learn. It's a safe house. It's a safe haven you're supposed to go to and get comfort, seek comfort, not run away from. And our schools are like that still. By making them a hardened target, by putting everything in there, do we need that? Absolutely. We need that stuff. We live in an anxious society. And by not being here today, the people far out west, maybe down south, the people who turn a blind eye to this, they have their walls up. There's a famous saying out there, the denial is a save now, pay later scheme. We're saving our time by thinking it's not going to happen to us. We're going to pay later. Okay? We've got to find a way to get police officers there quick. This is an invisible solution. So kids can stay focused on education. That's why they go to school. Not to worry about someone coming in and hurting them. Absolutely not. This allows for unlimited downloads rather, without any additional charge. You have a small school with 20 people in there, as far as faculty members, we're going to put it all on our phones, of course, if the gatekeeper approves that. You have a large school, 200 faculty members, it doesn't cost you anything extra, you download it. We activate it for you, you're good. We want a panic button in the hand of every faculty member out there. We've got to do it. To prevent inadvertent activations, we've built what's called this geofence. If you can imagine the building we're in right here is a school, we've built an invisible fence around it. So when you as a teacher go home at night and your kids are playing with your phone and they see that bright, shiny, red, pretty little button in there, they cannot activate it because you're off school property. The school owns that service and it will not, you're off school property, it will not send an activation out there. We can't have that, obviously. So we've instilled that phenomenal feature there. This is what's very good. A lot of schools sometimes do not get the information quick enough. It's because it doesn't happen there. Everyone's isolated. This is going to cause extreme chaos. We've got to get this school as quick as possible, and the other schools don't know about it. They're going to find out maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes later. I don't know. But we can tell them before 911 picks up the phone. The school in where it's happening, the other schools are going to know about this. A map's going to pull up. It's going to show them where the initial alert occurred from, what school it was alerted in. The principal push, we talked about that. And the test mode we put in the SchoolGuard system. This allows for you, hopefully, to satisfy that training mandate that we have out there. You can incorporate this within your training that you're scheduled to do every single year. Now, on the Hero 911 app, out, like we talked about, when we go to school, we're going to show you how they acknowledge that. So the police officers understand that they are going to acknowledge their uniform or plain clothes, so they have a sense of knowledge that, you know what, there may be X amount of plainclothes officers here. Mike Snyder's going to talk to you about that over there. Okay? We have all given you what we call our one-pagers. It has a checklist, a comparison list on the back to a traditional panic button. Please study that's on our website. You also have our PowerPoint. Please take it home, pass it out to others. Okay? We want to spread the word with this. If you have a pen, you're interested in information, this is the PowerPoint. Feel free to take it out. At this time, before we transition over to Parkview, myself and my team will answer a few questions. If you have any, you can feel free to ask away, and we'll transition over to the school. Anybody at all right now? Sir?
Inadvertent activation, how is it that that's reset or canceled?
Tom?
We do have the feature on the phone that they talked about where you do have to verify, whether you need it or not. It is set to only work within that school radius, so those are the two of the first things that we do. But our initial launch of the program, we decided that this is more like an emergency alert system. The system really happened so fast that you really couldn't retract it at that point in time. So we are in discussions internally to talk about how we should best handle that. But what we really don't want to happen is we don't want the shooter sending out the cancellation. That's our main concern. We have to figure out a way that we can make it so that they can't get to it, and it would truly be a true cancellation.
I'm going to add to that real quick. Mike Snyder's, we talked a lot about that with a lot of people. That's very important. You can't pull it back. It goes out so fast. The 911, the burst to the teachers, the burst to the policemen, you can't pull it back. It's out there. There are two options. One is we're telling the police nationwide, when you get the alert, you no longer really use your phone for information. From that point forward, you're going to 911. We do not want dual communication going on right now. So we've chosen to stay away from that right now. After the initial alert burst, all communication goes through 911. So the officers that are responding need to be communicating with 911 and find out that it's a false alert, if there is a false alert. The other point is that principal push. If a principal chooses to push that out to their teachers, hey, we've had an inadvertent activation, that's an option for them as well. But for the police, they've got to communicate with 911 to get the information.
First of all, are you going to test the app periodically, like the State Emergency Management Agency does their monthly test? And secondly, I'm a little bit concerned about a dozen teachers pushing their app for an emergency and overwhelming the 911 system with a recording as opposed to someone being able to get through with a voice and explain what's going on to the dispatcher or 911 system.
Great questions. Number one, to answer your question, we are building a test feature in there where the school just believes it's going to be web-based. The gatekeeper, like I will refer to, he or she has the ability to set it in test mode. Okay? So they can, and this is to help them satisfy their training mandates, they can periodically test their system. They'll be able to initially contact us, and we'll set it up for them, and they can have the test mode, and then we'll turn it off for them and make it live again. Okay? The second link, go ahead, Tom.
I was just going to say, just to confirm, it's not a recorded message. It is a live connectivity to 911. So it would be a standard call on your mobile phone to 911.
Thank you.
And what it does to add to that, the 911 call, once it's obvious that a lot of people are going to be hitting that button, right? But it's shut off. The system's blocked off. So in other words, when I, as a math teacher, recognize that active shooter, the armed intruder, I'm going to send that alert. I'm confirming that alert. It's gone. It's making that call to 911. Now, it is already alerted all other teachers in there while I'm waiting to talk to them personally, as well as the police officers. So the other teachers know that they got the alert, there's no need to call 911 right now, and it's already been said, they can take situational awareness, and they can take proactive measures to protect their kids. Okay? That's when they do that. Now, can they still pick up the phone later by themselves and dial 911? Absolutely. And keep in mind here, if we're just talking about 911, if you look at your cell phones and your cell phones are locked, it's 7 keystrokes to hit 911. With a SchoolGuard system, if we're just talking 911, forget about notifying the teachers and the other police officers, it's 5 strokes. You're saving yourself 2 strokes automatically just to call 911. Okay? Any other questions right away? Sir?
So one more time so I can understand this. So if a teacher, if someone's phone is locked, they don't have to use their code. They can just, if there's an emergency, they can just activate that feature.
No, you'll need to unlock your phone. What I'm talking about, I didn't understand. If the screen's dark, on mine I don't have a keystroke, a 4-digit keystroke to do that. I just have to click it to light up the screen, and I swipe it, and my phone's active. I find the SchoolGuard, I activate it, done.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the official live demonstration of SchoolGuard, technology that can shorten police response time to active school shooting incidents. What we're going to do here, we've got a couple of objectives that we want to meet during the next just few minutes. One is we want you to leave here seeing a live demonstration of the technology that you've been hearing a lot about. So hands-on, you're going to see the demo work in action. This is not staged. This is a live event, so anything, literally anything can happen. We're going to use the real technology. Objective number 2, we want you to leave here knowing about the official launch. I think we've accomplished that from the previous demo. We are now launching this product nationwide, and we want you to have contact information to follow up for any interest that you have in your schools or with the Hero 911 police app side of the technology. And then last but not least, we want to offer the opportunity for questions and answers, which we know you have some. So that's what we're going to do. How we're going to do it is we're simply going to introduce a active shooter, Dennis, who's sitting here in a minute. Not yet, Dennis. We're going to introduce Dennis. We're also going to do scenario A. We're going to repeat scenario B. Then we're going to show the live additional features that you saw on the phone through the PowerPoint. But we're going to show the live features on the button themselves. And then we're going to open it up to question and answers. Real quick, for those of you that missed the introductions, Tom Swift over here from Swift Technologies is the backbone, his company is the backbone of this effort with the technology. Thanks, Tom. Brian Estes is really the CEO, the Chief Funding Officer for Guard 911, and the brains of a lot of this, Brian. Awesome job. And then Nate is our police officer expert back here. And then I met many of you. I've been in law enforcement 28 years now, retired as a colonel in a nearby state police agency. And what I'd like to do, we talked a lot about the scenarios here real quick, and we chose not to be overly realistic. We were role-playing this last week with live fire in a gymnasium. We chose against the live weapon blanks for a couple of different reasons. So we're not going to do that, but we are going to demonstrate how this whole app process will roll out. And I'd like to get right back into it, and I did forget a couple of thank yous here. Off back in this corner of the room, we really want to thank Superintendent Gina Segoviana for your assistance with this. And it really, we recognize that it was a bit disruptive from some of the testing and the meetings, and absolutely appreciate the assistance. Assistant Superintendent Beth Horner, I think you claimed you were the middle man earlier. You're not. You were the backbone of a lot of this. Thank you very much. School principal, Dr. B, and I asked for your name earlier and then she said go with Dr. B. Everybody knows you. So Principal Dr. B, thank you so much for your assistance. Chief Edwards, likewise, with the school side of this, we pestered you quite a bit during the last several months. Thank you very much, Chief. And Director from Illinois Emergency Management, Jonathan Munkin is here, drove down from Springfield. Director Munkin, thanks for your attention to this. Let's get started. I would like to introduce active school shooter Dennis to start with. Dennis, by the way, is 98% of the time when Dennis goes out and does school shooting, he's a male, just like Dennis is. 97% of the time, Dennis is on his own, as he is today. 40% of the time, active shooters like Dennis kill themselves on school property. 2% of the incidents Dennis type involved, they bring extra bombs and incendiary devices with their weapons to the school, 2%. 10% of the time, shooters like Dennis stop the shooting in progress at a school or major incident and walk away. 20% of the time, they stop the shooting, walk away, and start shooting somewhere else. 43% of the incidents, active shooter stop before police arrive. Reverse of that, 57% of the active shooters are ongoing when police arrive. Dennis involved school shootings. The average time of a school shooting is 12.5 minutes. 37% of those incidents are 5 minutes or less. Dennis, the first scenario we're going to have Dennis role play. He's going to just simply initiate an active shooter situation. We've chosen to play the Sandy Hook tape for scenario A one more time. There's two reasons. We want to establish the chronology of time and the importance of seconds matter. We're going to play this live clock in the gym. We're going to replay the audio for scenario A. Dennis is going to just simply initiate the scenario. We're going to play the audio file. And we want to also not only have you pay attention to the time clock, but we do want to create some emotion. We absolutely don't want to overplay the Sandy Hook. But we do want to show the emotion when there's life and death, critical incidents, emotions are flying, and we want to create a little bit of that. So once again, for scenario A, we're going to replay the Sandy Hook tape while you watch the clock, and then we're going to get it a live demo. We did that for two reasons. We want you to see the essence of time, seconds matter. We wanted to create some emotion. I think that's effective. It creates emotion. When Dennis walked around, you noticed Dennis did not sprint from person to person. He calmly walked around and touched each of you. I think he touched everyone in the room. So within a minute and 31 seconds, he was able to walk around the room and calmly touch every single person. We don't even need to tell you how to equate that to a live fire with multiple rounds on someone during an active shooting incident. Scenario 2, we're going to do the live demo now. And at this time, Tom and team, we're going to pass out phones. And let me explain the technology here briefly, what we're doing. This is live. We're going through the live app, the live network, and the live emergency notification system. The one exception that we've done for today's purpose is we built a specific firewall on these phones that we're going to pass out. The reason we did, and Tom, I'm going to ask Tom for an update. Nate touched on this earlier. How many phones, do you know right now, Tom, did you check on the way here, how many policemen are in the geofence?
76.
So there's 76. That's not a finite number. That's a moving number. It changes every minute. So when we say 76 police officers, those are officers driving in and out of the geofence nearby area. We couldn't risk that alert going out to the 76 because even if we notified the 50, there's people driving in and out of the geofence. It's live. So we built a firewall on these phones so that we're not touching the 76 that are in this area. What we're doing now is passing out a handful of regular phones that Half of them have the school teacher app on it, and half of them have the police officer phone on it. And what we're going to do is, Emergency Management Agency Director Jonathan Munkin, we're going to ask you if you would mind role-playing a teacher. And this is just regular Apple iPhone with the app pulled up. Director, when we start this scenario, we're going to have you sit down. Dennis is going to role-play again. When you feel, as a teacher, that the threat is there, that you need to activate the emergency school shooting panic button, simply stand up and activate the button. And at the time that Director Munkin activates the button, we're going to start the time clock. For live demonstration purposes, for those of you that don't have the phone on you at this moment, we've got a live teacher phone on my, yeah, it's on the screen. So on my near side is the live teacher phone, and then of course the active police phone next to that. When we activate the phone, and I apologize, we left the poster board of the teacher phone that Director Munkin is looking at. He's going to have the screenshot of the active phone for the teacher. He's going to push the button and activate the emergency button. The police phones are going to go through this process. So the policeman app, once it's activated, shows this. The policeman then acknowledges if they're in uniform or plain clothes, and then a map will display of the pin dot location of where the threat is activated from. So is everybody ready? We have the time clock, and we're going to stop this as soon as we're going to let the sirens play a little bit. But once the alert is burst out live to the teachers and to the police, we're going to stop the clock. So clock, are you ready? Gunman, are you ready? And Teacher Munkin, are you ready? Brian, you're ready with the phones. All right, let's start the scenario, Dennis. So Teacher Munkin's phone, when he activated the active school shooting panic button, it was calling 911, and we actually, I forgot to tell you how to deal with that. It made it go through 911, we gave them heads up. So the phone call went through. While he was placing that call, you saw the live teacher phone display with a pin dot location within the school, and the police phone display on the police phone. So I'm going to walk through those again here real quick on the display board so you can see what happened. Director Munkin pushed the button, he had a confirmation message, and then every teacher in the building gets this alert on their phone. Active shooter, and let me clarify, this pin dot gives a general location within the building of where the threat was activated. If there's a good, medium to good to strong cell phone signal, you're going to see this pin dot. If there's a weak cell phone signal, that pin dot will disappear and a big alert with the address will be displayed on the phone. In this case, the cell phone signal was good, so the map displayed to the teachers. And we want to be very clear on that. In other words, we built in technology that if the cell phone signal is weak, we're not going to give an erroneous map. It will block out a map before it gives an erroneous reading. The map will go through if it's an accurate reading, and in this case it turned out the live reading was accurate. The police phones, again, were displaying as you saw here. The alert audio went off immediately. Every policeman then had the option to acknowledge in uniform or plain clothes. When they hit that option, then it displays the pin dot location. On the police phones, it's acknowledging how many officers in uniform, how many plainclothes officers received that threat. We also have the active time frame of the minutes and seconds since the active shooting alert. And again, without being over dramatic, we do want to go back to the time and seconds save lives. This was even kind of rounded up. It was literally 3 or 4 seconds when these sirens went off, when the activations were being received by the teachers and by the law enforcement officers. What we'd like to do now is go into a couple of other features on the phone as you absorb some of this, and then we're going to open up to the question and answer. So this is basically the meat and potatoes of SchoolGuard, but there are other, as Nate had said earlier, there are some other day-to-day features that can be used as well. And Brian will be displaying now a couple of these features. So if we look specifically at SchoolGuard, this is the display. We also have just the 911 button. So if it's a non-active shooter emergency, during emergency incidents, the teacher can push that button. Do you want to push that one, Brian, real quick? It gives you a confirmation message, are you sure? In fact, let's show them the reported school shooting confirmation message, because I think Jonathan Monken could see it, but the rest of you couldn't. So when we back out of that, let's say no, since we don't want to call 911 a second time. When Director Monken pushed that button, I'll show the confirmation message real quick. This is what he sees, report active shooter. So there's one confirmation message, and I believe, sir, that goes into maybe a question you had earlier today. So we'll back out of that. We're not going to reactivate that. Going into the teacher assist button, Brian selects the teacher assist feature. Those of you that have the teacher phone now, you hear the audio alerting. The audio alert is immediate. This is optional. The additional characters that can be typed in are optional. So if you, as a teacher, want additional information to go out, you can do that. But once you push that button, you're notifying your fellow teachers within the building. Down here, the principal push feature is something that we built in recently. And when the button is activated, the principal can push out a message, 150 character max, to every teacher in the building. One of the features about this is it works anywhere. So if the principal, if you're from Columbia, but you're in a meeting in Chicago, you can send out a notice to all your teachers. This works anywhere. The same thing, the principal, not all the teachers, but the principals can receive information on the active shooting and school assist features, even when they're off property. Response plan, Nate showed you that on the PowerPoint earlier. The schools can upload their response plans into the network and pull those off onto the phone at any time. The one feature that we really want to stress is the school teacher emergency panic button app only works when the teacher's on school property. So the button that Director Monken has in his hand now, when we were up over at the falls, if you pushed it, it would not have worked, because that app is set up for this school geofence, and it won't work when you're home playing with your kids, which is an important feature. This is what we wanted to do, run down these features. What we'd like to do now is open it up for questions, unless Tom or Brian or Nate knows of anything that I forgot to share.
The test alert.
Oh, yes, the test alert. This is a pretty good feature. Both the police app and the teachers have a test button that you can play around with to give you a comfort level. So the only time you touch the phone is not during a critical active shooter. You can play around with the app when you're at home. So let's go ahead and demonstrate that. So you hit the test alert button, you know you're in test mode, and now you can go ahead and activate that. And then the screen is telling you it normally be calling 911. And the teacher can then hear the audio on their test alert. And it's the same thing with the police phone. Let's show that one real quick too. And again, it is pulling up the map. So the policeman can demonstrate to other police officers and test the button to make sure they have a comfort level with this prior to the actual time you need the alert. So that's our demonstration. We really appreciate your time. We'd like to open it up to questions with our expertise here in the room.
Have you built in any language or code words or often the officers may respond either before the responding uniformed officers? So they don't.
It's a really good question. He's asked about building in either code words, or the bottom line is, what about multiple agents, multiple officers responding from multiple jurisdictions to one critical incident? That's the issue. How do we manage that? That is a big, big deal in law enforcement. The police officers in the room know that. Every police officer in this room has been trained and retrained, trained on tactical response. It's absolutely critical that officers use their training and their policy and their communication tactics and a little bit of common sense. So without giving trade secrets to the bad guy, there's really two scenarios. You're an on-duty police officer in uniform. The app goes off. You look at the app and you go, holy crap, school shooting at such and such school. I'm heading that way. In your patrol car, in uniform, you're responding toward that school. You're now on your radio trying to learn more information, but you're getting a head start to beat this clock. You're getting your 60-second, 90-second, 100-second head start. You're driving to the school and you're communicating. When you get to that school, you don't park at the front door and go running into the building with your gun out. You park in a tactical position, you get out of your patrol car, and you take a tactical position. Your eyes and your ears, you're using awareness skills, you're seeing if people are running out, you're learning if you have more information, you're looking for your backup officer, so you have a tactical position. If you hear gunfire, the game changes. You may choose to run inside. It's your call. So that's on duty in uniform. Or you're not on duty in uniform. You're on duty out of uniform or you're off duty. Same thing. You drive around your car, you're at the grocery store, your app goes off. You go, holy crap, school shooting at ABC Elementary School. I'm a mile away, I'm going. I go there, I drive safely, I try to learn additional information. I get there, I don't park at the front door, and I don't go running into the school. I park in a tactical position, I use my senses, my eyes and ears, I look for uniforms responding. If a uniform responds, now I'm going to identify myself to that police officer. Off-duty Trooper Snyders, can I help? And you're going to identify yourself. You're not going to go blazing into a school with your gun drawn. If you get there and you hear gunfire, game may change. Your kid's in that school, you hear gunfire. So we don't have the perfect answer to that question, but training, communication, and common sense are going to apply. Ma'am.
What is the actual mile radius set on these phones? It doesn't change from one location to another.
It can. So the radius for the geofence of the law enforcement response. So the school geofence is typically about a mile, so you know. The police officer, my recommendation, the default is 10 miles. If a school wants to meet with the police chief and the school administration and believes there's a legitimate need to expand that, we can do that. In fact, up to 40 or 50 miles. Some of the, I think Nate talked about Texas, some of the very rural communities we're talking about really expanding that. So it's variable to your specific needs.
No, all the geofence depending on the size of your school or the size of your
Downtown St. Louis, obviously, we're going to constrict it because we don't want to expand it 5-10 miles and have 300 people gridlock. It may be a 2-mile radius in a metro area. This area right here, probably about 10 miles, but it encompasses St. Louis. There's some St. Louis officers here that have a wife that is a teacher here that live in Illinois actually. So it's all about being off duty and being.
they're all custom built.
Any other questions? Sir?
Teacher question. On the teacher alert, you mentioned going to the website, downloading the crisis management plan. Would that be specific to the particular need? Does that get buttoned in? So is it a tornado alert, or is it a fire alert, or whatever?
The schools are able to upload whatever information they want into their.
I mean, if you upload the whole plan, you got a 15-page document. Could it be specific to a particular need?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's up to the school.
Okay.
Each school can customize their own plan.
If you can't hear the conversation, response plans are unique to the school. So you can upload your own response plans, whether they're school shooting plans, tornado plans, and the school can then pull them back.
But we have no control over that. You put whatever you want on it.
And there are some very good response plans on the FEMA, IEMA, FBI websites, Homeland Security websites. For those of you that have not seen those lately, they're very, very good, effective plans. Questions? We will be around. You know who we are. We really appreciate your time. This has been a phenomenal project, as Nate described. 28 years of law enforcement, a lot of expertise in this room. I've never seen anything like it. We've all got a lot of things to do. We're all busy, but we're committed to this. We really believe that the seconds can matter, and any assistance that any of you can give to spreading the word on this, we appreciate it. Thank you.